Hey everyone, welcome to Hacky Lessons for a One Piece card game deck profile, and we're looking at Shanks from Starter Deck 5. Now this is a pre-Paramount War build, so in 1 month's time this deck will get a little bit better with cards coming out in Set 2, including especially the Uta Secret Rare. But for now this is, I don't have access to those cards yet, so if you're watching this after Set 2 has come out, I will be revisiting this deck with a more improved build. But it is a very fun deck. I enjoy it a lot. And I just want to say right off the bat that I have included 2 copies of this Uta promo, which so far was only available to get at the Treasure Cup. Now, I want to be very clear here. You do not need this card. If you have it, it's very nice. But it is basically just a slightly better version of Ain. Slightly better, costs 1 more, has 1000 more power. So I've put 4 Ains and 2 Utas in here. If you are finding that you don't have enough ramp because you don't have those 2 more Utas, you could play a card like Ulti, perhaps, or any other ramp card. And if you're finding that you're missing that 5 cost 6000 beta, you could instead use Guild Tessero, which comes in the starter deck. So don't empty your bank account on this Uta because as nice as it is, it's not worth how much people are charging currently. It's going to be a lot easier to get in the future. There's going to be tournaments, it seems like every month, that will have these event packs in them. So by the end of the year, you're going to have more of these than you know what to do with. Moving on, let's go through the deck. So the leader is Shanks. He has an activate main, which is once per turn to don -3, and that will give all of your film type characters an extra 2000 power. Doesn't give it to himself, and it only gives it to film types, so you're going to make a point of most of your attackers being film cards. There's a few cards here and there in the deck that aren't film type, but for the most part, I want my board to be film cards. This deck will largely prefer to go second because you want that Don advantage, but if you do go first, you have a searcher here. This is Buena Festa, looks top 5 for film cards, but he has 2k counter, so you don't want to waste him on a searcher if you don't need to, but if you're looking for something, there you go, there's a searcher. So ideally, we go second and therefore start with 2 Don. Our turn 1 play can either be the blocker Anne. She has no counter power, but she's 2 cost with 3000 power. Or you could play Karina, which same stat line, 2 cost with 3000 power, but she does have counter power. This Karina card is really good, so if you do find yourself minusing Don a lot, this can fix it because it doesn't ramp just 1 Don, it ramps 2 if you have less Don than your opponent. Think about these cards, like Anne is a blocker, but if you use your leader ability, she'll have 5000 power. So I did think about using Black Maria because she's a blocker that has counter power, but in the end, you can attack with Anne once you've used your leader ability. We need more 2k counters, so I've put in 4 copies of Sasaki, and he is a little bit of extra ramp ability if I need it as well. He's it's annoying, he's Don ×1 when attacking, and you have to trash a card from hand, but if you need to get more Don, there you have it. There's another outlet for that. Now, for some skillless cards, there isn't a lot of film cards to choose from at the moment until Set 2 comes out, so skillless cards are pretty valuable. Cheap cost, strong power. Cost 3 for 5000 for this chick. And then there's this 4 cost dude who has 6000 power. So a pretty nice stat line if Shanks uses his leader ability. This goes to 8000, this goes to 7000. Bleedingly obviously, we are going to put in 4 copies of the starter deck exclusive Uta blocker. She's pretty good. Unblock Don -1 to rest my opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. It is easy to play around if you're smart, but there will be the moments where either your opponent isn't smart or they have a big enough board that they can't play around it because you'll have something you can target with this. And then if you haven't used her as a blocker, she can have 7000 power with the leader ability. So this is the main engine for the deck. This is how we're ramping, and once we're on the board, they're our attackers. So 4 copies of Ain, 2 copies of Uta. Play them. That puts an extra Don on the field, and then the next turn, when they're ready to attack, you can Don -3, and that will be 8,000 to 7,000. Now this is my favourite bit of tech for the deck. As soon as I was thinking about this deck, I'm like, I'm putting this in for sure. So 8 cost promo Kaido. When you get to 8 Don, play him, and at the end of the turn, you'll put an extra Don out. And then, so once you are on like 10 Don and you start using your -3 ability, this will put an extra Don back at the end of the turn, and then next turn you get 2 Don at the start of the turn, so you're back at 10. So you're not really missing out if you can establish this on your board. And then he's a 9,000 power attacker, so that's a pretty good stat line as well. And while we're talking about big hitters, 2 copies of Douglas Bullet. Very strong card. He's a little bit of overkill. I don't think he's necessary for the way I've been playing this deck. But if you do put him on board, it strikes fear into your opponent, so you can't go wrong with that. But I think once set 2 comes out and I'm trying to figure out how to fit the Secret Rare Uta in, I might replace him with her. Now, I have a fair few event cards in my deck. So 3 copies of Blast Breath, very good counter, only costs 1 and -1. So that's pretty good. If you've put out the Kaido, you'll have an active Don ready to go. This is a bit of a left of field idea. Ultimorta. I did have the Guild Tessero. Card in my deck, and I was just sort of finding I didn't have enough counter power. And like, he's good because he draws, but he also Don -2 to draw. So not that this is any better, but Ultimorta is a counter that for 2,000 counter costs 1 and then -2 Don. Bit steep, but you get to draw a card. So ultimately, similar things they're doing, but Ultimorta felt better for me. And then 2 copies of Union Armada. Now you got to be careful because this card only works on your film characters. It doesn't work on your Animal Kingdom pirates. So it'll give your leader or your film type characters 4,000 power, and then if it is a character, that character can't be KO'd for the turn. So you don't even need to counter high enough to defeat the attack, because once you've used this card, it is immortal. And then for some ramp and removal, 3 copies of Brachio Bomber. Costs 6, but puts a Don inactive and kills a 6 cost or less. So pretty strong removal card with the extra benefit of ramping a Don. So like I said, I'm finding this deck to be a lot of fun. I don't think it's like tier 1, but I played it last night at locals, did alright with it. I went 3-1. I don't think this deck likes Rush as far as I've felt in my limited time playing it, but last night I beat Trafalgar Law round 1. I had a pretty good thing going where he attacked my life. It was this card in trigger, so I triggered a Don, so instead of having 4 Don on my next turn, I had 5, so I was able to play Uta, which meant I was able to play Kaido on the next turn, so I had a very good run ramping there. Round 2, I had to play against Red Luffy, and I lost that. I think the rush was hard to deal with, and I ended up like on the back foot, and I started using my -3 leader ability too much, and I was just too far behind. And then I played 2 kid decks in a row, won against both of them, so it's not a bad deck, and it's definitely fun. I hope you enjoy this deck profile. I will revisit it when set 2 comes out, and I'll put in some of the new cards like Uta Secret Rare, and there's Douglas Bullet card as well that you can use. And keep subscribed to the channel, because when set 2 does come out, I will be doing all the deck profiles that I play. And I will see you guys then.